Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at a new 4K limited edition release from Transmission, and it is 1988's Vampire's Kiss. So this is directed by Robert Berman, who I've not seen anything else from before. He does seem to be more of a televisual director than anything else. But this is nonetheless a black comedy that clocks in at 104 minutes long. Stars like some Nicolas Cage, who I've seen in 30 other films at the very least, and that's not including the ones that I haven't logged on the likes of Letterboxd. But some more recent favourites will be like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Longlegs, and The Surfer. You've also got Maria Conchita Alonso, who is also in Extreme Prejudice, the original Running Man, Fear City, and Predator 2. You've also got Jennifer Beals, who's in The Fantastic Devil in a Blue Dress. And finally, is Elizabeth Ashley, who was in Coma and Dragnet. So Peter Lowe is a self-centered literary agent living a shallow existence in the money-obsessed Manhattan of the 1980s. His life is nothing but days at the office, one-night stands, and unsatisfying therapy sessions until one night he brings home a mysterious woman from a club and his life begins to take a bizarre turn. After their violent encounter, Lowe starts to believe she has turned him into a vampire, and he descends into apparent lunacy as his baffled associates and co-workers look on in horror. Let loose on the streets and clubs of late 1980s New York City, Lowe's behaviour becomes increasingly unhinged as fantasy and reality begin to bleed into one another with terrible consequences. So, I didn't really get along with this upon my first viewing of this nearly 8 years ago, but for whatever reason, I was much more on this film's wavelength this time around. That said, this isn't without its flaws. Lowe, for instance, is hardly a sympathetic or likable character, as yeah, he's definitely the kind of yuppie from the late 1980s who is just obsessed with money and, you know, getting with as many women as possible and such. And yeah, that's not something that's it's not the kind of person I can get along with, quite frankly. And his character never really gets beyond that. Yes, he starts to have a mental breakdown, but outside of that, yeah, there's nothing here that really, as a character, he grows in any kind of way in other regards. And the fact that he is suffering a mental breakdown is also not something that's nearly explored well enough. Thankfully, though, Nicolas Cage is great. This is the kind of film that a lot of people would say is the kind of, you know, start of his career when he was doing these kind of maniacal roles, you know, these kind of like strange, you know, roles in films. You know, obviously with the likes of Longlegs, you also do that kind of thing, and then you know you look at like the remake of The Wicker Man, which is dreadful, but Nicolas Cage certainly does the best that he can with the material that he's got, and he's obviously really rather you know, kind of out there in that role as well. So yeah, but this is kind of the first one of those kind of films because this is pre Wild at Heart. Um, you know, he'd only been in a few films by this point, with the likes of Valley Girl being the only other one I think before this that I've seen from him. So yeah, which are all kind of more like ordinary kind of films rather than this, which is yeah completely off the wall kind of acting from him. The supporting cast is also good. It is also well paced, has plenty of funny moments. The plot is generally engaging. The score is solid, and late 1980s New York is well used, while also being a quite a fascinating time capsule for many reasons. So yeah, overall this gets a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely better viewing this time around than with my original one, where I think I only gave it a 3 out of 5. Still not saying it's a perfect effort by any stretch of the imagination, but still one that is well worth seeing. And even though it's probably a little bit more well known than perhaps some of the other ones that Transmission have released so far, at the end of the day, it wasn't a box office success. It cost about 2 million to make, didn't even make half that. So yeah, still a little bit strange. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that this has been used in many a meme, this still would be quite an obscure effort as far as Nicolas Cage's filmography goes. So yeah, and as per usual, when it comes to these hardbox Transmission releases, really nice artwork and solid quality in terms of the box. Then we have the film itself in another slipcase, more artwork, and then even more artwork on the case itself. And we've got plenty of physical extras to go along with the 2 discs as well. Got the 4K, then you've got the Blu-ray, and then the special features on that Blu-ray as well. So bear in mind that obviously the 4K will be region free, but the Blu-ray will not be. So if you are buying this from abroad, then you might well not be able to see the Blu-ray special features. Then we also get some art cards with this release as well. So minor spoilers for the film with these. There's nothing on the reverse of them, by the way. Second to last. And then finally, we also get a poster with this. Now, it's only one-sided, but it is a landscape, which is not something you often get from other boutique labels. But as you can see from the Stuntman and Night of the Juggler, Transmission do like to do their landscape posters, which I'm only ever a fan of. Because like I said, most of them are portrait. And there we go. So yeah, that's pretty on really rather nice thick quality paper as well, that one. We also get a booklet with this release. And inside you get your cast and your crew, then we get an actor spotlight for Nicolas Cage. I'm a Vampire, I'm a Vampire, I'm a Vampire, the highly subjective legacy of Vampire's Kiss by Julia Armfield. Then inside the laboratory on Nicolas Cage's surreal acting in Vampire's Kiss by Zach Sconfield. Biting the Big Apple, Vampire's Kiss and the Bloodsuckers of New York by Justin Liberty, and acknowledgements and credits, as well as shots from the film. We've also got a non-film photograph there with Nicolas Cage. And yeah, there are shots from the film throughout here as well. So again, minor spoilers. And yeah, we also get transfer notes as well for the film. So Vampire's Kiss was restored in 4K resolution from a 16-bit scan of the original camera negative at Prasad for A&D images, with colour grading provided by David Block. The film was supplied to Radiance Films, as Radiance Films is obviously the main owner of Transmission, as a high-definition digital file by Park Circus, and is presented in its original aspect ratio 1:8:1 with the original uncompressed stereo audio mix. And yeah, looks and sounds perfectly good, quite frankly. I haven't seen this outside of, I think, television, so yeah, I can't really comment on whether or not this is better than any other, release that this may or may not have had, but it still looks and sounds perfectly good. And then in terms of extras, you got new interview with director Robert Bierman, new audio interview, with screenwriter Joseph Minion, new interview with composer Colin Towns, new commentary with critics Kim Newman and Nick DeSlemelin, plus an archival commentary with Nicolas Cage and Robert Bierman. And then you got a short film called The Dumbwaiter from 1979, presented with an intro from director Robert Bierman, a trailer, and behind the scenes gallery as well. So, yeah, all in all, a really, really solid effort from Transmission, as per usual, quite frankly, when it comes to their hard box releases. Majorly was impressed with obviously Night of the Juggler and The Stuntman. Now, I wouldn't say this is as good a film as either of those two. I still say Night of the Juggler is my favourite film that Transmission have released so far, but it's still up there with the rest of their releases, especially with the likes of Special Effects and Highway to Hell, which I'm pretty sure I prefer this one too. So, yeah, on the whole, another really rather solid effort from Transmission, and yeah, continue to look forward to what else what they will release. Obviously, this is the first year of Transmission releases, because obviously Night of the Juggler came out in late 2025. So, yeah, we've obviously got several more months, hopefully, from them of more releases. So, yeah, still looking forward to seeing what else they're going to bring out. But quite frankly, for a boutique label that is now only on 6 releases, this being the 5th, they've knocked it out of the park each and every time, quite frankly, because these are either films that haven't been released physically before, especially in terms of Blu-ray or 4K, particularly with Night of the Juggler, which which before that release was long since, languishing in, VHS or just poor transfers on like YouTube for a long, long time. So, yeah, I was finally glad that that got released, but they're continuing to release other films that are interesting and unique and not necessarily fully mainstream. Like I said, Vampire's Kiss is probably the most mainstream one of the lot so far because of the meme culture that has surrounded it. But it's still a worthwhile film seen outside of those few scenes that have been put out on the internet to death for years now. So yes, well worth seeing. But if you have seen Vampire's Kiss before, let's hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.